up everyone, I'm Brad, and as you may know, I'm a Darius main who has most of his games in Master and Grandmaster lobbies. Today I'm gonna share with you a Darius guide for beginners which is gonna help you pick up the champion and learn the basic combos, builds and runs. So stick around until the end and enjoy the video. Alright, so firstly I'm gonna cover the summoner spells, and for your summoner spells you're always gonna take Flash and Ghost. Now, Ghost is a spell that allows you to gain a large burst of movement speed that decays to 25% for 8 seconds. With each takedown, Ghost duration is extended by 6 seconds, refreshing its effect. Now, Ghost fits Darius so perfectly because when you kill someone with your ultimate and you reset, not only you getting your passive back and your ultimate back, but you're gonna get the full value of this Ghost. You're gonna get more movement speed, which allows you to be faster for longer periods of time. And basically this is gonna help you chase down enemy champions and finish the fight nicely. Now obviously Flash for your second summoner spell, because Flash is not just a spell for Darius. Darius is reliant on Flash to make good plays. Basically Darius with Flash is a lot more dangerous than a Darius without Flash, and I'm gonna cover that later in the video. Basically when a champion counters you, like a Fiora or a Riven, with Flash you have a chance of killing her even though she's a stronger champion than you. Flash will allow you to make an outplay to kill her. Now for your main rune you want Conqueror. Conqueror is gonna be your rune for the 90% of your games as Darius. Conqueror allows you to stack AD for a total of 6 bonus AD, and we do not take this rune for the healing, we take it for the damage. This stackable damage along with your passive is gonna make the difference between you landing a reset or not. But there are some cases where that needs to change. But for now, this is your main rune for 90% of your games. Now, Triumph. Triumph is in the precision tree, and it allows you to regenerate missing health and missing mana. And the best thing about this is that you cannot only trigger it, your teammates can also trigger it after killing someone, because it says takedowns, it's not unique takedowns. So anyone can trigger this and give you healing, anyone in your team, so it's really important. Now for your secondary rune you want Last Stand, and it's because as Darius players love to stay low HP, and basically hit those crispy outplays and make a comeback. So this allows you to deal more damage the lower HP you are, and it fits Darius perfectly. For your next and final rune for the precision tree you want Legend Alacrity, which is gonna give you more attack speed, allowing you to hit those combos easier and faster, which is also means that you can get your passive faster. For your secondary rune you wanna head to the precision tree and pick Bomb Plating. Bomb Plating makes you burst proof, which is basically good against all-in type of champions. These champions are Renekton, Fiora, Yasuo, Riven, and something like that. Now, against poke range champions, you want Second Wind. Second Wind obviously heals you for the HP you lost after you getting poked. For your players, obviously there's nothing wrong in going bomb plating in 100% of your lanes, but just saying, Second Wind is gonna really make the difference against range champions like a Lucian or a Vayne, so make sure to use that. For your first item, you want to Rush Plated Steel Caps. This gives you damage reduction against AD and a decent amount of health regen and armor. For your second item, you want Trinity Force. Trinity Force is the second best item for Darius. It does every single stat Darius needs. It gives you 25 ability haste, 30 attack speed, 30 attack damage and 50 health. And not only that, it gives you 5% movement speed. And if that wasn't enough, you also have the Phage passive, which allows you to get 20 movement speed after you kill a unit, after you damage a unit, and 60 after you kill it. Third item, obviously Armor Swing Guard. It gives you a good amount of flat stats like armor and magic resist, and you need both of those. Now, its passive, it's extremely good because it increases your already existing armor and magic resist by 30% while you're in combat. It also gives you 20% tenacity, which means you're gonna get more resistant to slows, fears, stuns, and charms. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't work against knockback or knockups or suspensions. Suspensions like Set's ultimate and Warwick's ultimate. It only works against stuns, roots, and charms and fears. Fourth item, Serax Gauge. You can build it second if you're fed. What I personally like to go BF Sword, getting a Marath Wingard, and then finishing Xerox Gauge. Xerox Gauge is extremely good because it gives you a nice amount of health, a nice amount of tenacity, and it also gives you a really nice shield which makes you burst proof. Now, you're gonna build Xerox Gauge in 100% of your games. You're always gonna build this item as Darius. It's extremely good on him, and it's probably the best item for him. It's the number one item for Darius. It fits him really well, and it's gonna make you burst proof. For your fifth item, you want Random Zoman. It's extremely good against crit and attack speed slow champions, so you're gonna need this as your fifth item. It gives you a nice amount of health and a nice amount of armor, and it also heals you based on how many crit stacks you have, stacking up to 500. Rushing Warden Smell in the early game is also really good because it's gonna help you reduce their attack speed, and it also gives you a nice amount of armor. If you want just the attack speed slow, you can get Frozen Heart, but if you're against a lot of crit, definitely get Random Zoman. Force of Nature for your last item, it's the best magic resist item. It fits Darius a lot because it gives you 5% flat movement speed, 50 magic resist, 350 HP, and at max stats you get 25% reduced magic damage, which means all the magic damage will get reduced, so it does not get affected by magic penetration because it's not magic resistance, it's magic damage reduced, and it's a percentage, so the more they have, you're gonna get the same reduced amount because it's a percentage, it's not flat. And you also get a max of 15 mover speed, which is really good for Darius because he is a slow champion. And both of Force of Nature and Amaranth Wingard stack together and work really well because as long as you're in combat, you're gonna get those extra resistances from the Amaranth Wingard and Tenacity, and that extra magic resistance and movement speed for Force of Nature. So those two work really well with Darius. I've seen a lot of people build this on Darius, but it's only good when you have healers on your team, like Soraka, Janna, Yumi, anything like that heals you. Definitely with Soraka, it's gonna make you immortal. Now, it gives you 100% base health regen, it gives you 30% affected healing and shielding on you, which is also gonna make your Q heal more. It's gonna boost that Xerox shield, and it's gonna increase the random zone and effect heal. Now, in terms of magic resist, it's better off going Force of Nature because Darius, like I said before, suffers from magic resist, so getting that Force of Nature is gonna help you a lot. However, if they do not have a Fed Mage, it's better off going Thornmail if they have anti-heal. However, if you only need the anti-heal, just rush early Bramble Vest, because don't forget you only get the Bramble Vest for the anti-heal. Thornmail changes nothing about that, it's only 10% extra anti-heal, which doesn't make a difference. You only buy Thornmail for the anti-heal, and Bramble Vest has the exact same effect. If you do not need anti-heal and you need to slow their attack speed even more, you can take Frozen Heart. That 36% plus the 15% of the random zone is gonna give you a total of 51 attack speed slow. That's huge for ADCs in champions like Irelia and Tryndamere and all that, and also Renekton. But when you're gonna build Frozen Heart and Random Zoman, make sure to build Frozen Heart first and then Random Zoman, because when you build Frozen Heart, you get a different passive from Cold Steel. Cold Steel is the passive of Wounded Smell and Random Zoman. So if you build Frozen Heart, you're gonna get a different passive. So it will not make the other item's passive useless while you're building it, unlike Random Zoman. If you build Random Zoman first, it has the Cold Steel passive, so while you're building Frozen Heart, Warden Smell is gonna have the Cold Steel passive, which is exactly the same as Random Zoman, so you're basically missing out on stats if you build randoms first. If you're gonna build both of them, make sure to get Frozen Heart first, because it has a different passive and it does not affect the other item, and same passive that doesn't stack. Also, make sure to ask your support tank if you have one before buying Frozen Heart, because if you see he builds it, just make sure to build something else, but most of the times he won't, so it's better of you building it. Like I said, Frozen Heart won't give you the Cold Steel passive, so you can have Winter Scares plus the Cold Steel passive from the Warden Smell and Random Zoman. You do not build randoms first and Frozen Heart second. You build Frozen Heart first and randoms second. Always make sure that, or else you're gonna get a waste of stats. To finish off with this build I have right now on the screen is the best Darius build. You can build it in every single game and you're gonna do good with it. It gives you enough resistances for every single scenario. The second Darius build you will need is when you come up against full AD teams, meaning there's not gonna be a single mage champion in the enemy team. Now, the runes are exactly the same, the items are exactly the same, except you skip Armor's Twin Guard and Force of Nature. You're basically gonna get as much armor as you can, and there will also be some cases where you're fed. Now, before explaining this item Death Dance, you will only buy Death Dance when you're fed. If you buy Death Dance while you're behind, you're basically killing yourself. The best item when you're fed for Darius against AD teams is Death Dance. Now, what this dance does, it basically makes you tankier by delaying the physical damage you receive and dealing into you as true damage later, after 3 seconds. But there will also be some cases that you will need to switch this item in the late game. If you're up against a Riven, a Yasuo, Yone, and heavy AD teams like that, you will need to sell this item and get like a Frozen Heart. This item works really well with Static Gauge because when you kill someone and your Static Gauge shield procs, the Death Dance passive is gonna damage the Static Gauge shield, which means you will keep healing while your already existing health will be protected by the shield. So they both simultaneously keep increasing your both HP and the shield at the same time. So this item with Static Gauge works really well against AD teams. And to finish off with this build, this is the currently best build for full AD teams. Next up, when you're fighting full AP teams, meaning there's full mage champions and obviously one AD champion, the ADC. The runes are exactly the same, but this time you're gonna get second wind instead of bomb plating, because mages are cooldown reliant, which means they cannot all-in you, they can only poke you. First item, you 100% rush Mercury Treads. It gives you enough health regeneration, magic resist movement speed, which you need, and it also gives you reduced magic damage for 12%, which is huge for the early stages of the game and also in the late. Trinity Force for your second, because mages are squishies and Trinity Force is extremely good against squishies. Third item, obviously Force of Nature, because I explained what it does earlier. It's extremely good against mages and it's gonna help you withstand their burst. So that reduced damage you get from the Micro Jets, which is 12%, plus the 25% of the Force of Nature, is huge for Darius. It basically gives you a total of 37% of reduced magic damage. Obviously Static Gauge, you do not wanna miss this item, you always build it, it's really good on Darius. It gives you enough AD, enough HP, enough tenacity and enough shield. Spirit Visage for your fifth item, it's really good when you have healers in your team, like I said earlier, but it's also the second best item for Darius when it comes to magic resist, so you need this. It's gonna boost your heal and your shield power by 30%. And last item, Armor's Twin Guard. It's gonna boost your magic resist by 30% while you're in fight. That's huge against mages. You're gonna get around 300 plus magic resist, and you also need that armor to protect yourself from that AD damage that the ADC does. Now, the worst case scenario is that the enemy ADC gets fed and you have to give up one magic resist item to protect yourself from the ADC. If something like that happens, just build a random Zoman. Next up we have when the enemy team has heavy command control, which is basically a lot of CC, roots, stuns, fears, charms, like Ahri, Fiddlesticks, Warwick, Morgana, Leona, Nautilus and that. The items are exactly the same, just make sure to build Quicksilver Enchant as soon as possible. Now, you cannot dodge knockups, knockbacks, but you can predict them. For example, if the Yasuo knocks you up and ults you and you die, you can also use this item against that, but you can predict it and use it before he knocks you up. So it's a really good item, and I'm gonna show you later in the video how much effect it has. It's so underrated on Darius. It gives you crowd control immunity and 30% tenacity for 1.5 seconds after you use it. Next up, in your precision tree, you want to get Legend Tenacity, which basically gives you 3% of flat tenacity and a total of 15% after you reach max stats. Now, you 100% need this It's a must-have against CC teams because it's gonna increase tenacity, and tenacity is a counter to crowd control. Next up, for your final run and secondary tree, you want Perseverance and the Resolve tree. It gives you 10% tenacity immediately, which is amazing because you don't have to stack it. It gives you flat armor and magic resist once you get CC'd, so it's amazing. The last two items I left them blank because it's situational. If you need magic resist, go for Force of Nature. If you need armor, go for Frozen Heart or Unreal Omen. And yeah, that's it for the high CC teams. The next build is for when you're struggling with ranged top laners that can outplay you no matter what. It's for like Vayne, Jace, Lucian, and I know a lot of Darius players struggle with this, so you're gonna love this. So, for ranged matchups, you change the runes completely. First you go Phase Rush to get that extra burst of movement speed while you proc 3 abilities or 3 attacks on the enemy champion. Next up is Nullifying Orb, which is really strong in the early game, but this is personal preference. I like to go for Courage of the Colossus, which basically gives you a shield based on your max health when you mobilize an enemy champion, and it has 10 seconds cooldown, so in the late game you will be able to get a shield from this every time you use your E. But if you already reach in the late game, it doesn't matter what you build. We wanna win the early game, the matchup with a ranged top laner, so we need the Nullifying Orb. It's a lot stronger in the early game and you need it. And I've had cases where I Darius ulted someone on level 5 and Nullifying Orb saved them because it basically has the same passive as the Strength Gauge. If you ult someone with Garen and they're 1 HP above activating the Strength Shield, it will seem like you did 0 damage. That exactly happened to me when an enemy laner had the Nullifying Orb. I ulted him, he should die, but he didn't because he had the Nullifying Orb, so it can really save lives. Next up, you always go second win against ranged top laners. I explained what it does earlier. It heals you based on how much missing health you have, and its effects for melee champions are doubled. Next, you're gonna go Revitalize, which is gonna increase the healing of your second win. Most people like to go Perseverance, but like Overgrowth is also a choice. I do not recommend it, so you should always combine Revitalize with second wind. Next up we have Nimbus Cloak. This rune is extremely good if you combine it with Ghost because it's gonna give you a burst of movement speed at the start of when you're using your spell. It's really gonna make the difference in you chasing down the enemy range champion and killing him. You can proc it with both Flash and Ghost or both at the same time, and it's really gonna make the difference in you killing him or him killing you. So it's a must-have rune against ranged top laners. For your enchant, you either go Proto Belt or Quicksilver enchant. I prefer Proto Belt against the Lucian or something like that, and a Quicksilver enchant against the Vayne. Now you can also go Edge of Night, but it's really situational. For the final and 6th build of Darius, it's when you're up against 2 tanks or 2 tanky bruisers. Your runes are gonna be exactly the same, but this time you switch Last Stand with Cut Down or Giant Slayer for Wild Rift players. Giant Slayer will help you deal more damage to the enemy champion the more health he has, which you can stack with Divine Sunderer, which is really gonna help you put them down. If you cannot get their health down, how are you supposed to execute them? So this rune is really gonna help you against those high HP champions like Mundo, Ornn, Seth, etc, etc. This time you get Black Cleaver to reduce their armor, Strength Gauge because it's the best, Divine Sunderer to help you chunk down their health. It also heals you for 7% of their max health, so it's really good and it gives you good sustain as well. And Amara's Twin Guard to give you a good amount of resistances. And on the screen right now I have all 6 best Darius builds you need to become the next best Darius player. Our first combo is Auto Attack and immediately pressing Q after the frame ends for a quick trade. Now let's add W. This combo is really quick and it works in every single elo, in every single game. WQ when you're running down someone and you're chasing him. It's gonna slow them down, allow you to hit your Q. Next combo is E into Q immediately. This is gonna guarantee your Q hit, and I've done 1000 plays with it. It allowed me to heal back the missing health and kill them. This is always gonna guarantee your Q hit against every single champion. Now let's add an auto attack to it. You don't have to press auto, just click E and Darius will automatically attack the enemy champion, allowing you to hit the combo easier. Now we just add a W and we'll get 3 stacks for free. Standard combo when you're fighting someone in lane. And this is a quick execute combo when you're chasing down someone. Next up we'll have guaranteed execute. We just E someone before ulting him. This will make the execute go through no matter what, because they cannot dodge it. Darius' Z counts as an airborne, so they cannot QSS it either. Next up we'll have Q flash. Make sure to flash right before Darius swings his axe. Do not flash immediately after Qing, you need to flash before Darius is about to hit, for an instant surprising hit. For chasing down someone, you can also press Ghost, Q and after flash.
My destination is clear.
Now we have one of the most important combos for Darius is getting the passive into the enemy front line and then flashing it and redirecting it into the back lane, allowing us for a quick and easy execute. When you get your passive, make sure to detect where the enemy ADC is and immediately flashing and executing him. This will make a huge change, resulting in a one team fight. QSS saved me here from set ultimate. Unfortunately I didn't have vision on Talon to kill him and Set did 3000 damage with his W. Use the brush to your advantage to quickly one-shot enemies, and make sure to pull off the combo as fast as you can. Don't give the enemy space to breathe. Without QSS here, I wouldn't have been able to do this play.
Shut down. Shut down.
Picking the right targets in a teamfight is the best thing you can do as a Darius to help your team. Now we're gonna talk about how to make aggressive plays at level 1. Firstly, you need to play passively against a champion like a Gwen and wait for level 2 and skill your third ability. She used both of her spells, so now I just ghost up and kill her. You can engage right before you hit level 5 for a surprising kill. Both of her spells are down, so there's nothing stopping me here from killing her. In situations like this, you don't have to do anything fancy to kill her, just run her down and ult her. My team is recalling and the enemies are mid. There's nothing for me to do there, so I'm just gonna go pick off the Gwen. In this game, I'm facing a Timo. I just froze the wave right in front of my turret, so he cannot push me. Now he just goes to poke me, I E him, he takes a DARIUS shot and I just kill him. As a bruiser, you can easily pick off isolated targets and kill them, especially as DARIUS.
You have slain an enemy.
Pando killed the bee.
Our next combo is really complex, you need to be fast to do it. It's basically E and immediately flashing. It's instant, nobody can expect it, nobody can dodge it, and it can guarantee you a lot of resets. This combo has a lot of range, basically it gives you double your range and no one can expect it. And with that, this video comes to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will also make another DARIUS guide in the future. And make sure to tell me your thoughts about this in the comments. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and I will see you in the next one.